Take me back to that time in your life, though, here on Grove Street when you were homeless. How did you become homeless that year?
Actually started in 2007 when Rose's Turn, which we were standing in front of, closed. I couldn't find work, and it took about a little over, under a year, and I just didn't have the finances to keep a roof over my head anymore.
And what was it like for you to go through that point in your life?
It was scary. It was depressing to a point, but then I started reading The Secret, and I started trying to get positive and try to find myself, because I truly lost myself in all of the wondering if I could find a job, if I should be here in New York. Is New York through with me? Am I through with New York? Do I need to go someplace else? And it took some time. It took some time. It wasn't fun.
Was it a hard time? I mean, do you remember just anything in particular about it? Any story pop out from that time in your life?
Spending time at Washington Square Park. That's where I slept, and they have a great bathroom there. The city does a wonderful job. It's nice and clean. Auditioning out of, I kept my clothes at the new duplex in the basement, so I had auditions. I was still trying to audition, but I had to go by foot because I didn't have the money for a subway fare. So it was great when everything was down here, like at 18th and 23rd, but when we had to go up to 55th and 8th Avenue for an audition, I had to leave a couple of hours earlier to walk up there.
At that point in your life, was there anybody that you could have called, or did you feel very alone at that point?
I probably could have called some people, but it was one of those between embarrassed and pride. If you can put those two together, that's really what it came down to, because I now understand why people that are homeless stay on the street is partially because of the pride, and may develop into something different later on if they're there for a longer period of time. But it was scary to know that I could go this far. I'm doing chin-ups from the gutter in New York City, where I came here so many years ago to be on Broadway.
Right, that's unbelievable. Was there ever a night or ever an experience you went through that you felt like you were in harm's way? Was there anything scary that happened during that time to you?
I guess when the drug dealers were in the park, I think that was the scariest, because you didn't know who was going to pull a gun or pull a knife or just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I kept moving around.
And you had come from, you start on Broadway,
yes.
and what was going through your mind at that point when you went from that high point to a low of actually living on the streets?
I hadn't done a Broadway show at that point for 18 years. So it was, I almost given up on Broadway. I did several other shows. I worked with Liza Minnelli. I did at Radio City. I did Nonsense with Rue McClanahan. So I did things. I was still performing, but I wasn't on Broadway. And it really, that's home to me. Did
you ever hit a point of depression? Did you ever hit a point?
Oh God, yes. I mean that's all part of it, because you are at the lowest point of your life. You think that what you love and what you care for, and I was auditioning and I wasn't getting anything, and it was making even more frustrating, because I am looking for work, but I can't find work. I'm not being hired. I'm not getting a show, and it really kind of wears on you.
Did you feel alone in that moment?
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah, yes, very alone, and that's why I chose staying in the park, because at least there were people walking around, so I wasn't like in a hole someplace. At least there was some kind of communication of some sort.
Back then, standing where we are now, did you ever think that you would be here now, starring in a Broadway show? Do you ever think you would ever come back here? And what emotions do you feel just being here?
This building, I worked in it for so many years under different names, and it's kind of hard to see it now that it's no longer even a club. It was one of those places that you always knew you could possibly get, a sub job or something else to keep a roof over your head, and it's gone, and that part of my life is gone, and so is being home. That's gone. It's all, I'm back on Broadway, and it makes me kind of proud to be able to stand here and go, okay, it's gone. It's sad, but I've moved on, and I've been able to do 3 Broadway shows since then, and I'm ecstatic about that.
It's unbelievable. It really is. Sam, is there anything else you want? When you lived on the streets in the park, were you ever harmed in any way?
No, you know what? Having worked here on Grove Street, I met at least 17 of the homeless that live in this area, and anytime I was afraid or anything else, I would walk over to them and saying, I don't feel right about this over here, and they would take care of me. So I felt some security because I took care of them for so many years. It was about time they took care of me.
Right, it's unbelievable. And how long exactly were you kind of without a home here,
It's almost 3 months. 3 months on the streets.
And I read somewhere that you would do 1 hour sleep, 1 hour walk.
Yeah, yes. Oh, yeah. Just to keep moving. Well, you can't. My police officer friend probably would have said keep moving, but he didn't. He saved my life.